All right, welcome back. We are on page 42 of the One Big Beautiful Bill. If you can hear what sounds like a fart, it's just my leather chair. Or is it? We're on part 2, removing taxpayer benefits for illegal immigrants. So section 112101, permitting premium tax credit only for certain individuals. Hi, Charlie. Hi, Supernova. Under the current law, allows individuals who are lawfully present in the U.S. to receive premium tax credits to purchase health insurance on the exchange. Lawful presence is defined through rulemaking to include most immigration statuses. This provision would eliminate premium tax credit eligibility for illegal immigrants and only allow eligibility for lawful permanent residents, certain Cuban immigrants, and individuals living in the United States through a compact-free association. A compact of free association. Interesting. So basically this takes tax credits away from illegal immigrants? Am I actually understanding that correctly? We're using ChatGPT to check our understanding here because AI sometimes understands better than we do, you know? Okay, so under the current law, if you live in the United States and are considered lawfully present, which includes many different immigration statuses, you get premium tax credits to help you buy health insurance through the ACA, which is the Obamacare exchange. These tax credits lower the monthly cost of your health insurance. Lawfully present currently covers most immigrants here legally, even if you aren't permanent residents yet. Okay, so that didn't give health insurance to illegal immigrants or undocumented immigrants. I don't really want to be politically correct or incorrect, but people have feelings, right? The new rule says only these groups get premium tax credits now, which is lawful permanent residents, green card holders, so no impermanent residents. Everyone else, even if you're currently counted as lawfully present, loses eligibility for these tax credits. This also explicitly blocks illegal immigrants from getting tax credits, though they already couldn't officially. This tightens and clarifies the rule. So who benefits the most is the IRS, immigration restriction advocates, and lawful permanent resident Cubans and compact residents. Their eligibility is protected clearly, which it wasn't before, I suppose. So people will lose access, right? This is probably what a lot of people. And let's ask it approximately how many people will lose access. Will lose eligibility. This is the future, by the way, guys. If you're not using AI to answer your questions, it'll search 100 websites in the time it takes you to search 3. Okay, so 1.1 million lawfully present immigrants currently receive premium tax credits to help afford health insurance through the ACA marketplace. This group includes, blah, blah, blah. So it can't really give me impact a significant number of lawful present immigrants, but it can't give me a number. Let me ask it to specify. Can you estimate a number? Darian is watching the last episode. You gotta catch up, guys. You gotta stay. No. 1.1 million is not right. That's how many people there are just lawfully present. Someone's asking me to ask it about people on work visas. Because, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a politician. Got to use the tools at my disposal here. Estimated impact on work visa holders. While precise numbers are challenging to ascertain, available data provides some insight. H-1B visa holders, as of 2019, there were approximately... Okay. Not all work visa holders utilize ACA marketplace coverage. Many receive health insurance through their employers. However, those who do rely on the ACA for health coverage could lose access to premium tax credits under the proposed changes. So this only applies to you if you're like on Obamacare, basically. If you're getting your insurance through your employer, it doesn't seem to affect you. Moving on. Section 112102. Certain aliens treated as ineligible for premium tax credit under the current law allows individuals who are lawfully present in the U.S. to receive premium tax credits to purchase health insurance on the exchange. Lawful presence is defined through rulemaking to include most immigration statuses. This provision prohibits individuals with immigration status granted by asylum or pending an asylum application, parole, temporary protected status, deferred, enforced departure, and withholding of removal from receiving premium tax credits. So again, this is taking away tax credits from people. Probably people who need them the most, if I had to guess. But also, you know, people would argue that these people shouldn't be receiving tax credits for this healthcare in the first place, I think is the main argument. So if you're in the U.S. and are considered lawfully present, even if you're not a green card holder yet, you can get premium tax credits to help pay for health insurance. This is just to pay for health insurance. Right now, these tax credits are available to people with asylum status. Right, it's all the different people, even if you're withholding of removal, deferred enforced departure, all these different things. The new rule says people in these statuses will no longer be eligible for premium tax credits, meaning they can still buy health insurance but won't get financial help to lower the monthly cost. Their insurance will likely become unaffordable for many. So this is something that people are talking about when this is included in that number of people you've seen, people talking about how many people will lose their health insurance if this bill gets passed. This is at least part of what they're talking about. Who benefits the most is the IRS because they save money. Fewer people get tax credits. Immigration restriction advocates sees this as closing what they consider a benefit loophole for temporary and protected migrants. Who loses the most? The list is much longer. So asylum seekers and pending asylum applicants, people with TPS, DED, or withholding of removal, public health system and hospitals, most uninsured people equals more uncompensated care. And children and family members. In mixed status families, some members lose coverage, increasing family health care burdens. So that's not great. That's not great. But again, this is not taking away healthcare from those people. It's taking away a tax credit that these people used to get on their healthcare. Which already seems extended. The shorter... Okay, so I asked it, are there other services in place to help people losing these benefits? And the short answer is that there are some services, but they're pretty limited and uneven, so this change would likely leave a lot of people with worse options or no real alternatives. So there you go. Many will likely go uninsured. Can you approximate how many will go uninsured? Someone's asking me if I can read an episode of Scooby-Doo instead. Like a script? Like a script for the cartoon Scooby-Doo? I can do a pretty good Shaggy. Okay, again, it can't really Approximately 1.1 million lawfully present immigrants currently receive premium tax credits. It won't tell me. It will not. Let's see if Grok will do it. Let's see if Elon Musk's Grok will approximate a number. I mean, Grok's probably just going to search the web and find all the news articles that say, yeah, the CBO, this was what they recently released this week, estimates that approximately 10.9 million people would become uninsured by 2034. So that's a cumulative 10.9 million people over the course of the next 10 years, give or take, if nothing else changes. When combined with the expiration of enhanced ACA premium tax credit and other proposed regulatory changes, the total number of uninsured could increase to around 16 million. Wow. Well, that's a big number, but it is kind of just that is a projection by the Congressional Budget Office, right? Gonna ask it how many times in the past has the CBO been wrong about their 10-year projections. There was an error. Grok has a lot of errors. Okay, there isn't a simple count of how many they've been wrong. Okay. Okay, fine. Seems like they're pretty spot on most of the time. The average error for 6-year revenue projections from 1982 to 2020 was 5.6%. That was the error margin. All right, well. So, maybe they're right. Eye roll, says baseball. Okay, alright, moving on. Where were we? Section 112103. Disallowing sorry, I got off on a little tangent there. Disallowing premium tax credit during periods of Medicaid ineligibility due to alien status. Current law limits premium tax credit eligibility to an individual who reports income above 100% of the federal poverty level and who is an alien lawfully present in the U.S. An exception allows such aliens who report income below 100% of the federal poverty level and are in their 5-year Medicaid waiting period due to immigration status to receive premium tax credits to purchase health insurance on the exchange. This provision strikes this loophole. So it just calls that a loophole and strikes it out. Who? I don't understand. So if you're above the 100%, hold on a second, guys. Do you hear the chair? Can you hear my chair? I've got beard on my jacket. Oh, you're right. There's a beard hair on my jacket. Thanks. Good looking out, fam. Thanks, Jackson. How embarrassing. Okay. Under the current law, normally to get premium tax credits to help pay for Obamacare insurance, you must be lawfully present and have income over 100% of the federal poverty level. But there's an exception. Some immigrants, lawfully present but in their 5-year Medicaid waiting period, can get premium tax credits even if their income is under 100% of FPL, meaning that if they're very poor, even if they're very poor, they can still get it. Why? Because they're blocked from getting Medicaid for 5 years, and this helps them stay insured. What's changing is they're closing the exception. No premium tax credits if your income is under 100%, period. So poor immigrants in the 5-year waiting period will no longer get any help buying insurance. They just don't get the tax credit on buying insurance. Just, again, so we're clear, it is not they don't get health insurance, it's that they don't get a tax credit on the health insurance. Which, of course, helps people pay for their health insurance. I'm not saying that it's not a loss, but I just, understand the scope. I feel like people talk in big, broad terms, and it's actually a little bit more, I don't know what the word would be, microbial? All right, so Section 112104, limiting Medicare coverage of certain individuals. Under current law, individuals who are lawfully present in the U.S. and meet Medicare's standard eligibility requirements are generally allowed to enroll in Medicare. This provision would eliminate Medicare eligibility for illegal immigrants and only allow eligibility for lawful permanent residents, certain Cuban immigrants, and individuals living in the United States through a compact of free association. So this will cut healthcare specifically for illegal immigrants, if I'm understanding that correctly. Right? Does that sound right? Does that sound right? Sugar Lips? Base Pole? Gosh, I love YouTube handles. So right now, if you're lawfully present in the U.S. and meet Medicare's usual requirements, you can enroll in Medicare, even if you're not a green card holder yet, as long as your status is considered lawfully present. However, only these groups can now enroll in Medicare. Lawfully permanent residents, which are green card holders, certain Cuban immigrants, and people living here under a compact free association. All other immigrants, even if quote-unquote lawfully present, would no longer be eligible for Medicare. And of course, illegal immigrants already aren't eligible. This qualifies and reinforces that. So, lawfully present immigrants without green cards, which are visa holders, humanitarian statuses, even if they've worked and paid into Medicare, they would lose their eligibility for it. And again, it just points out more uninsured seniors equals more emergency care costs on the public system, not covered. It's tough. That's tough. I wonder if it'll tell me. It said, illegal immigrants are already not eligible for this, but I'm curious if it'll tell me how many illegal immigrants are using Medicare. Approximately how many illegal immigrants get Medicare assistance? Just good to know, just good to check things every once in a while, you know? Undocumented immigrants are generally ineligible for Medicare. In summary, undocumented immigrants do not receive Medicare assistance, but they may inadvertently support the program financially through payroll tax contributions. So they might pay into it, but if there's any confusion, there are 0 illegal immigrants currently getting Medicare. So the people who are losing Medicare in this instance are not illegal immigrants. I've seen a lot of posts about that. Oh, it's just a bunch of illegal immigrants getting their Medicare taken away. No. That's not accurate. I'm sorry, but that's not correct. Section 112105, excise tax on remittance transfers. There is no law on this currently. This provision imposes a 5% excise tax on remittance transfers, which will be paid for by the sender with respect to such transfers. The provision requires that the tax be collected by the remittance transfer providers, and the remittance transfer providers are responsible for remitting such tax quarterly to the Secretary of Treasury. The provision also makes it clear that remittance transfer providers have secondary liability for any tax that is not paid at the time that the transfer is made. The provision also creates an exception for remittance transfers that are sent by verified U.S. citizens or U.S. nationals by way of qualified remittance transfer providers. I feel like I'm repeating the same word over and over again. Qualified remittance transfer providers are defined as remittance transfer providers that enter into a written agreement with the Secretary of the Treasury to verify the remittance transfers senders a U.S. citizen or U.S. nationals. The provision also provides a refundable tax credit for any excise taxes required to be paid by taxpayers with valid Social Security numbers. Lastly, the provision also has an anti-conduit rule. I don't know what an anti-conduit rule is, do you? Do you know what an anti-conduit rule is? Trivia question. Riddle me this. What is an anti-conduit rule? Okay, so if you send money to another country, which is called remittance in this case, this new rule says you'll pay a 5% tax on the amount you send. Plain and simple. The money transfer company like Western Union or MoneyGram or a bank will collect the tax from you and send it to the IRS. Anyone sending money out of the U.S. gets taxed now. Unless you're a U.S. citizen or U.S. national and verified through certain approved transfer companies. You have a valid Social Security number, in which case you can get a tax credit to refund what you paid. And if you can't prove this, you pay the 5% tax. So this is actually kind of like specifically a tax on illegal immigrants trying to send money, or maybe not illegal is wrong. Undocumented, or even that's not right. Visa holders, possibly? Like if you're just not a U.S. citizen? Interesting. So who doesn't have to pay? Verified U.S. citizens and U.S. nationals. Or if you have a valid Social Security number, then you get a refund. Interesting. So if you send money out of the country, but you're not a U.S. citizen, not a U.S. national, and don't have a valid Social Security number, you pay 5% tax on it. This will mostly hit undocumented immigrants. Yeah, I understood it perfectly. And temporary visa holders. So, like, if you're here on vacation, you have to send money back. If you're here on a temporary work visa, student visa, you're sending money back to your family, you now pay a 5% tax on that unless you yourself are a green card holder or a U.S. citizen. Interesting. That's an interesting one. Don't hear much about that part. Section 112106, Social Security number requirement for American Opportunity and Lifetime Learning Credits. Under current law, a student, taxpayer, or spouse must have a valid taxpayer identification number issued or applied for on or behalf the due date of the return, including extensions, in order to claim the American Opportunity Tax Credit and or Lifetime Learning Credit. A TIN is a Social Security number, an individual taxpayer identification number, or an adoption taxpayer identification number. The AOTC and or LLC cannot be claimed if the TIN is issued after the due date of the return, including extensions. This provision adds requirements for the student and taxpayer, if filing on behalf of the student, to include their Social Security number on the tax return in order to receive either the AOTC or LLC under IRC. So once again, I believe this is just taking this tax credit away from people who are not natural born citizens or green card holders. Does that sound right to everybody? You following along? So right now, if you want to claim education tax credits, which help lower your taxes to pay for college, like American Opportunity Tax Credit or the Lifetime Learning Credit, you and your student must have a valid taxpayer. Right. You have to have a Social Security number, individual taxpayer identification number, etc. This provision, the new rule is adding stricter verification requirements. The taxpayer, you, and the student must both include verified identifying info on the return itself. The IRS is likely requiring more direct confirmation to prevent fraud or misuse of the education credits. So who loses the most is people trying to cheat or claim credits without proper ID, and taxpayers who forget to include required TIN info. So they risk out on the credit if they don't follow the new paperwork rules correctly by putting their social security number on, or TIN, on the actual document. That's interesting. Interesting. If you want, I can also give you a quick summary of how much fraud happens on these educational credits. Yes. Tell me how much fraud happens. Yeah, you do have to have a TIN now. Although it seems like you had to have one previously, but it was just sort of relaxed or not specifically stated that you need to write it on. I think it was before your caretaker could kind of like sign off for you. Like if you were an exchange student, you would have the person. But now both the student and that caretaker need to have that. So the American Opportunity Tax Credit, it says here, it says that the American Opportunity Tax Credit is especially prone to improper payments. This includes both fraud and mistakes. The IRS and Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration have reported in 2012 estimated $5.6 billion in potentially improper AOTC payments, about 25% of total AOTC payments that year. In 2021, the IRS reported an improper payment amount of 23%. This is actual waste/fraud. In 2022, Government Accountability Office report cited that the AOTC continues to be a high-risk program for tax fraud. And the Lifetime Learning Credit has a lower dollar value overall and a lower fraud rate, but the AOTC is the big concern, right? Okay, so. Wow, interesting. So it's going to tighten that. Roughly 23 to 25% of American Opportunity Tax Credit payments are improper. That's a lot. That's a quarter of them. That's a lot. That's a lot. You know, okay, so we start part 3 next, preventing fraud, waste, and abuse. I'm going to save that for tomorrow. Thanks for joining me today, guys. I love you too, Baby O Crow 1. Make sure that you like, subscribe, follow me in all the places. How much is the average credit, someone asks? I'll answer that before I go. Or rather, I'll ask AI to answer it for me. Thanks for the questions, Sugar Lips. The maximum AOTC is $2,500 per student per year. 100% of the first $2,000 of qualified education expenses, 25% of the next $2,000 of qualified expenses. Average AOTC claimed is usually around $1,800 to $2,100. So there you go. There's your answer. Thanks, guys. We'll see if I have time to make a news or later. I think I will, but, you know, you never know what's going to happen, right? All right. Follow me in all the places if you give a shit. Bye.